What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building. Oh, yes, we are. Oh, yes, indeed. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Okay, we in here early because I got a flight to catch in just a little bit. And speaking of my flight, let me tell you what's going on. So I'm going down to my fulfillment center today. Well, I'm going to go visit in the morning, but I just wanted to get down there early just so I can have some time to, prepare for the meeting and whatnot. And so I just want y'all to know, running a brand, I was not ready to launch this brand when I did. The only reason I did it so soon was because Monique had asked me to come and do her Not for Lazy Moms event. So I wanted to go and just show up and figure out my sales process and that sort of thing. And do y'all know, y'all have made this such an amazing soft launch. We have sold out of the CMOS product. Now, this is huge because let me tell y'all something. Again, I was not even ready to launch this thing. And so to have sold out of the product, and I haven't even really started the engine rolling yet on everything that we got to do to promote and stuff like that, is just amazing to me. And so I just want to say thank you to whomever out there was buying it all up. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna find out what we need to do to get it restocked. But as soon as I had a conversation, we're gonna put the plan in motion so we can get some more in. But thank the Lord we did it, y'all. That is just a blessing, and I just had to say that to y'all because I just got the notification. I was like, what? So anyway, y'all, we're gonna get this thing rolling. Thank you so much. Thank you. What I will say is this. If you're in the chatterization, let us know where you're watching from. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Getting that good energy, baby. Getting that good energy. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it. Wearing all black is my favorite thing to do. And when I got a flight to catch, I always wear black for some reason. Okay, y'all, so let's get into this. Absolutely the Hicks World. Subscribe. Turn those notifications on. Let's get into the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. We are talking episodes 2 and 3 today. And what we're really going to dive into is what Miss Kenya Moe and Miss Cynthia Bailey got going on, because they are the ones who are beefing. Well, not only them, we got Cynthia beefing with Kyle. And then we got Teresa and Melissa beefing as well. And they dropping all types of tea. Okay? All types of tea. So let's go ahead and get on into what we got to talk about. It's day 2. We learned that we're having a Cynthia's Bailey Q like she does in Atlanta. And then we're going to do a Catamaran with Luann. We start the day off with Luann showing the tatas and the kitty cat to Melissa. Melissa lets us know that the kitty is Harry, okay? And as soon as Kenya walks in, she flashes Kenya too, okay? And Cynthia walks in. She flashes Cynthia too. And the New York girls, they just show their body, yada. And I'm gonna be real with you. Luann probably about 50-some years old, but that body, like a 20-year-old, baby. That body like a 20. I don't know what she's doing, what kind of calisthenics she's doing, what kind of Pilates she's doing, but that body is banging, okay? That body is banging. They do the intro or whatever, and I'm thinking I'm liking the intro music just a little bit better today, okay? I'm liking it better, all right? Kenya wants to wipe the slate clean with Ramona, and they start asking her about John from down to the conch shop, okay? Anyway, Ramona's telling the story about how she met her ex, Mario. And the story is so self-indulgent. She's talking about how she was in there, doing the aerobics or whatever, or the jazzercise in the gym, and how he used to come in there and watch her because she was such a trendsetter, because she was wearing the Versace, bodysuits and the Donatella Versace, you know, the all types of Balenciaga, designer, couture, gym wear back in the day. Okay. And after a minute, they dispersed so they could go play tennis. Now, the thing about Ramona is she is so selfish that she will not even let Melissa play and Kenya play tennis with her because they can't play that well. And Ramona needs her 40 minutes of exercise every day. And if she don't get it, is she off? So she has to go do that. But while she's trying to get down to this tennis lesson, she's 20 minutes late to that. So she's only getting 20 minutes today. And then it's going to be Melissa and Kenya's turn to play. I will tell you guys the truth. From what I'm seeing with this show is giving me vintage Housewives vibes because these are the things that they used to beef about back in the day, okay? And that's what I really like about this show. It's giving me that. Cynthia and Teresa go for a walk to get to know each other better. They bond, and that's all nice and good. Teresa also felt like Kenya immediately had her back against Ramona, which she feels like she does not get that on her show, and she especially doesn't get it from Melissa. Okay, I thought that was interesting. They talk about Melissa going away to prison and whatnot, or jail or whatever it was. What I wrote in my notes is this is actually in some ways more interesting than some seasons of Housewives currently. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we know so much about these women and seeing them mixed together for the first time. It's just refreshing. Melissa and Kenya realize how much fun they're having together. Meanwhile, Cynthia is off to the side staring daggers at the two of them. Okay. Now they keep showing Cynthia giving the side eye to Kenya and Melissa as they are bonding and getting to know each other. So then the ladies, I will say this too. Melissa is much more useful here than she is in Jersey. And I hate to say that because I like Melissa, but Melissa makes more sense in the mix with this group of ladies for some reason to me than she does in Jersey. Chime in if you guys feel what I'm saying for some reason. I can't really explain what it is. Anyway, they set off for the Catamaran, and Teresa and Ramona, you know, they realized that they have so much in common. They were both buyers for Macy's. They have lunch, and then they talk about, you know, who knew each other the least and how they know each other now. We learned that Ramona Googled Kenya, and then that's how she found out the information that she did about Kenya. But if she Googled Kenya, I don't know why she's still calling her Portia, because obviously you didn't Google that well, because you would know that the two ladies are different. But, you know, maybe she don't Google that many black people. Anyway, Luann tells a story about how it's not good to Google people because somebody Googled her and there's somebody that she was interested in, and they found out about. That might be it, the Hicks world. Melissa can be herself here. The man that Luann was trying to date found out that she was, you know, that she had went to jail and she had been arrested, you know, for her disorderly conduct or whatever the case may be. And that really affected her, you know, because he didn't want to date her thereafter. So then we also learned that Cynthia was at Luann and Tom's wedding. Now, Tom, a big backstory with Tom. Luann and Tom got married. Bethany found out, well, everybody knew that the man was cheating on her. And there was some scandal about whether or not Tom had dated Ramona and Sonia beforehand. Sonia says that she used to kick it with Tom all the time. So she was really upset that Luann was marrying Tom. And Luann was not listening to any of these people's advice about what they was trying to tell her about this man that being no good for her. So she married him anyway, and then was quickly divorced. So anyway, she get to talking about Tom, and Ramona is like, okay, I gotta go. I cannot listen to the story. I'm gonna go downstairs, right? And so all the rest of the girls are like, well, Ramona, why are you leaving? Now, this is probably one of the only times, it won't right that Ramona did this, but I understood why she did it because I had watched it was Tom D'Agostino. I had watched this season. So I knew that Ramona was leaving because she was frustrated she was leaving because she was tired of hearing the story, and they tried to tell this woman not to marry this man. So that's why she left. Now, was it rude? Yes. Did it come across rude to people who don't know the situation? Yes, but for those of us who know and who was there at the time, I wasn't in New York, but I was watching it. I knew exactly why Ramona was leaving in that moment, but the rest of the ladies didn't seem to get it. So anyway, Ramona goes downstairs and she's like, I can't take this. The girls get annoyed, and then Luann goes into the whole backstory about that whole situation. Interestingly enough, Kenya identifies with Luann about trying to, stay with the man that they hope that they can fix, which I found was interesting. Ramona comes back, and ironically, Ramona has lip gloss satchels for everybody. One of her girlfriends or something like that then gave all the girls some lip gloss. So she comes back bearing gifts or whatever. And Kenya and Luann are just annoyed with her, and they get up and they leave the table or whatever. And Ramona says she can't help herself. She got ADHD. And she also feels like she got triggered by Luann's story because, she herself had been in the press because they had been making accusations that her and Tom had dated. But Luann and Kenya felt like, well, girl, you're making this story all about you, and it's about Luann at this moment. Anyway, Cynthia pulls Kyle to the side, and they bond over their marriages or whatnot. We learned that the ladies are all up in Mike's DMs, which I found interesting given what we just heard last week. But anyway, Kyle says this is nothing new, that the ladies are all up in Mauricio's DMs as well, even though he didn't know how to use them. So she get mad at Mauricio for the women being in his DMs. He don't even know that the DMs are there or what they are. And so she mad at him for all the attention that the ladies are giving him. It's crazy. Anyway, the funny thing about this is it was such good foreshadowing because Cynthia was like, oh my God, I'm so excited about getting to know Kyle and our burgeoning friendship or whatever. Little does she know what's about to happen next. Anyway, the girls get ready for the Bailey Q. Everybody, the theme is wear red or get red. Now, some of the white ladies don't know what that means. I'm just going to put it plainly to you. Okay. Luann don't know what it means to get red. She's like, what does that mean? And, Ramona is just hoping to not accidentally read somebody. So she's just going to stay quiet for most of the night. The Hicks World says, honey, I paid for that $4.99 so fast after episode 1. I didn't even wait to watch episode 1 before I paid it, baby. I was like, let me just go take my money. Take it. Here go my cash. Take it all, okay? I don't blame you, boo. Y'all so silly, baby. Y'all so silly. Anyway, so what happens is this. The game is, featuring questions like, who is the prettiest? Who is the sexiest? Stuff like that. And who is the shadiest? But Kyle, okay, is basically like, I don't agree with this line of questioning. And I don't agree with these questions. They make me uncomfortable. To Kyle's credit, Kyle has readily admitted on this show that she has body image issues. So to pick the ladies apart in a way where they are voting for who is the prettiest or who is the sexiest makes her uncomfortable. And in that moment, I understood what she was saying. I think when Cynthia was reading off the questions, I didn't think too much about it. But then I thought about it from the perspective of a more body conscious, person, or a more body conscious society that we are now. Maybe having the women critique each other and determine who's pretty and who's not is not the appropriate thing to do. Now, I get that Cynthia was really just trying to play a game and get some shade and some fun in there. But I do agree with Kyle that maybe that's not the thing that we want to be doing at this day and age. That's just me. Okay. That's just me. And so, Cynthia was, kind of annoyed because she felt like Kyle wasn't being a team player. Mind you, she was doubly annoyed that Kenya Moore showed up late to the game, like an hour or so late. Okay. Kenya says it was because her makeup artist was late, but everybody else was doing their own makeup. And she felt like Kenya, when she did show up, came with a plate of macaroni and cheese. Now, Cynthia had made all the rest of the ladies wait for Kenya before they could eat But when Kenya shows up and she has some macaroni and cheese, Cynthia is annoyed that she has that plate of macaroni and cheese. And Kenya's like, well, I have low blood sugar, so I'm going to do what I want. Cynthia's issue with Kenya is this. Girl, I gave you a big, giant poster board of baby Brooklyn so you could have in your company since you are away from your daughter for the first time. I told the rest of the girls that you are going through a divorce and that you should get the best room in the house. The least you could do is for my event, show up on time and then use some class and decorum about yourself when you do show up and not be eating in all of our faces when I told the rest of the girls to wait. Now, that's what's being not said at the time, but that's what Cynthia is really mad about. But Kenya comes, when she does come in, she agrees with Kyle. Maybe these questions aren't appropriate. And she understood exactly why Kyle felt the way that she felt. And she says in her confessional, you know, maybe Cynthia's game would work in Atlanta with the girls that we know. But she says maybe with this group, it's not such a good idea. And so with Kenya, where her thing is, maybe we need to just roll with what's good. Now, Cynthia later on will say that she adjusted the game to fit the people at the table, but it really didn't seem to be any major changes to the game. So this is the thing that really starts to set Cynthia off. And honestly, for the rest of the night, Cynthia is like not having it and not feeling either Kyle nor Kenya. Now, what I will say is I thought that Cynthia was being a little bit too ultra sensitive with Kyle, because at the end of the day, Kyle stating that she felt uncomfortable with the game should not make Cynthia feel like she's not being a team player, because that to me is being honest. And I don't feel like anybody should do something that they don't feel comfortable doing, whether it's a game or not. And again, yep, 50 Cent came all the way out. You could see it in her eyes. I mean, it was like and you know what I felt like in that moment? I honestly felt like there was something about Cynthia that felt like, you know what? I have done and done and done for you, Kenya. I have done so much for you. I have had your back. And I felt like this was just one of those moments where it was like, this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And she was over Kenya. Okay. She was over Kenya. The World says why people don't understand CP time. Kenya didn't care. She did not care. Okay. But Cynthia didn't understand it either because she was annoyed. All right. So anyway, they end up playing the games somewhat, right? But the questions are a little bit different. But really, the question that I think begins to get everybody to open up is, what makes you feel, or what is your biggest insecurity? And everybody really starts to open up and go around the table, and then they have some really great discussions about, you know, body image issues, getting older. You know, Melissa's afraid of leaving her husband alone, you know, and she relates that back to her daddy issues because her dad was a cheater. And so it's an interesting thing. But, you know, Cynthia and Kyle kind of get into it once again. Samantha says, did Cynthia also give Kenya a friend contract? Well, she might want to revise it now. Okay. And thank you for that super chat. When Kyle says she loves this part of the game where all the ladies were opening up, she does tell Cynthia, you know, sorry that if she took it too seriously, because what Kyle realizes is Cynthia's upset, and she didn't want to make Cynthia upset, but she also wanted to be truthful about how she felt. And I felt like Kyle was really doing her best to be as apologetic as possible, because she didn't want to ruin the mood or the moment. And really, Cynthia's energy from that point forward was just done. Okay, she was just over it. You could just see it. And Kenya warns in her confessional, here comes 50 Cent. Y'all don't know Cynthia like that, okay? Cynthia does admit that she was very irritated, you know, and she felt like Kyle kicked things off, you know, but Kenya feels like Cynthia is jealous because Kenya is getting to know the other ladies so well and bonding with the other ladies. Kyle does a great job of explaining to Cynthia, in my opinion, why she felt like this game was not a good one. She says, I have 4 daughters. So I would never want my daughters to be in a situation where they are forced to critique other women, or this is something that they would have to do. So I just think about those types of things. And again, I don't blame Kyle for that. I honestly actually agreed with it after I heard her logic. Everybody ends up getting an award for something, and it kind of just ends. In their Little Housewives After Dark, Cynthia reveals her disappointment with Kenya, and she feels like people take her kindness for weakness. And I told y'all that was one of the things I felt like she was bothered by. Kenya feels like, in her confessional, she feels like Cynthia is jealous and that Cynthia's potato salad should have stayed in Atlanta. So not only was Kenya shading, Cynthia, but she was shading her cooking too. So then in episode 3, we're going to head on over to episode 3. It's the next day. We get a lot of behind the scenes. Kenya is basically dealing with a court situation, and she's sort of on the phone, running to and fro, trying to get a laptop and a MacBook and that sort of thing. Kyle and Melissa recap the Bailey Q, and neither of them felt comfortable with the game, but they realized that Melissa realizes that Cynthia was already annoyed with Kenya for whatever reason. Cynthia, to her credit, she's still annoyed with Kenya and everybody, and Kyle too. And when Luann comes into chat, she feels like, she's going to give Kyle a pass because she don't really know Kyle that well. But Kenya is the person she's really, really mad at. Luann feels like Luann makes a great observation. Luann says this: Cynthia is a gracious and a very giving friend, but maybe she has expectations that are too high for Kenya to fulfill. Now, I thought that this was just an amazing assessment of Kenya and Cynthia's friendship. I feel like Cynthia is give, and sometimes it seems like it's so much so it's too much. And I hate to say that. And I feel like she's just a good friend. So for somebody else, Cynthia's giving nature is probably perfect. But for Kenya, it don't, excuse me. It don't always feel like Kenya has the same capacity to give on the level that Cynthia either wants or is accustomed to. Hey, Marcella. Hey, Richie. Love you. Proud of you. Thank you so much, boo. I appreciate you, as always. You have always been a real one. Thank you so much for that. And I feel like in my real life, I want friends like Cynthia. I do. That's the type of friend you want. You want somebody that's ride or die, that's got your back, that's gracious, that's kind, that's giving. For me, that's where I'm at in my life. Those are the types of people I want. But I feel like Kenya is kind of just on some other stuff, and maybe she's just not that person. Right, Logan, I need some milk or something. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. When you're talking all the time like this, you might get a little choked up. You know what I'm saying? You might get a little choked up. But anyway, everybody gathers for breakfast and it's awkward. Kyle apologizes again. Cynthia says she changed the game because she didn't want it to be messy. And she still admits in her confessional that she did not accept Kyle's apology. So she's still mad at her. Now, I will say this about Cynthia. Cynthia, I feel like you mad at the wrong person. You should not be mad at Kyle for being honest about how she felt, because Kyle wasn't being disrespectful. She was really telling you something that was disturbing to her. Kyle then asks if Cynthia is still upset with Kenya. And Kenya pretty much is like, girl, mind your business. She says that's a Kenya and Cynthia conversation only. So there goes that. Speaking of Kenya, she comes in and she's clearly in a bad mood. She sits on down with a huff and a puff. She's distraught from having court and it being on YouTube and it being so public. But Cynthia's like, well, girl, you in her confessional, she was like, you are not concerned about me and I am not concerned about you. So Cynthia continues to eat her potato salad from last night, and Luann, in what was an understated shady moment, Luann turns to Kenya and says, potato salad? I told y'all the night before, Kenya said that Cynthia's potato salad could have stayed in Atlanta. And Kenya rolls her eyes so hard at that potato salad. She was like, no, thank you. I don't want no potato salad in the morning. It was hilarious, okay? So, they end up talking about Luann ended up asking Cynthia about the Bolo situation, and Luann is just slobbering and foaming at the mouth at the thought of the things that Bolo can do, because she saw the episodes, okay? And she know about that Bolo, and she wants some of that Bolo. Now, she ain't say she wanted for herself, but I gathered in my mind that she wanted some Bolo, okay? You could just see the salivation coming down and dripping down into her lap, okay? Anyway, Melissa, Kyle, and Kenya, they chat about whether or not Cynthia is mad. Melissa thinks it's because Kenya was late. And Kenya reveals that Cynthia told her that she was jealous of Melissa. Now, I didn't recall hearing Cynthia say that, but maybe it happened and we just didn't see it. And Melissa's like, what? Ramona comes in ready to learn some volleyball from John from the Conch Shack and his friends. Anyway, they all go outside to play volleyball, but most of them just end up wanting to drink. And then they're going to go get massages. But before they can get massages, Cynthia has a bone to pick with Kenya, and she needs to talk to her. So Cynthia feels like it was her night, and Kenya walks in late with no apology, grabbed food after everybody had to wait for her, and she felt like Kenya could have been a little bit more supportive of her with the game situation. Kenya says that if someone says that they feel uncomfortable, you have to adapt to that. Cynthia says she did adapt. Then they get into, it's getting hype. Okay, Cynthia getting hype. I'm telling you guys this. I feel like Cynthia has probably been feeling a certain type of way about Kenya in the pit of her stomach for a little while now. And this, again, was one of those little things that just was the straw that broke the camel's back. And she said, enough is enough. Not on my watch, okay? So they get into, who's interrupting who and whatnot. And then 50 Cent shows up and she really confronts Kenya and lays down the law about being supportive. Now, Kenya basically has to tell her, hey, girl, you getting loud right now. And Cynthia was getting, she was getting kind of, you better back up. You better back up. She didn't say that. I was just reminiscing on how she was imitating Candy when her and Candy got into that thing back a couple of seasons ago. But anyway, she was getting riled up now. She was, to me, she was getting riled up. And I was kind of here for it because I was like, oh, this is the 50 Cent I've been hearing about? Yes, let's get into it. So anyway, they come to some resolution, or so I thought. But Cynthia feels like Kenya didn't really get it. And Kenya, I feel like, is just trying to shut this girl up because she didn't really want to have a conversation. Anyway, Kenya ready to get back over there and play with Melissa or something. So what Kenya says in her confessional is she feels like Cynthia doesn't like that Kenya is vibing with these ladies and Cynthia is not. Kenya says that on her show, she is usually the person that's on the outs, and Cynthia doesn't like it now that she's the person on the outs in this group, which I thought was interesting. They sit down for lunch, and after they, I can't remember if the massages came before or after this, but they sit down for lunch. And they get into Melissa and Teresa's relationship and if they were automatic besties. I think somebody asked that question. And Melissa says, no, we really had to work to get to a good space. And sometimes, on the show, someone will get in the middle of it and they have to sort of figure their relationship out all over again. But for the most part, they're okay. Ramona asked this question. Ramona, shady. Shady. Ramona says this. True or untrue? Teresa had no idea you were coming on the show. Here we go. Melissa says untrue. Teresa says, I did not know that you were coming on the show until I got a call from Andy. And apparently Andy told Teresa that Melissa would not stop DMing him to get on the show. Now, at this point, I was like, oh, now this is some tea right here. I had never heard this before. That Melissa was allegedly DMing Andy Cohen to get herself on that show. Ooh. So then Melissa, apparently Melissa denied that. Melissa did say, because people, they started asking Melissa, well, when you were approached about being on the show, why didn't you tell Teresa? Because Teresa's like, I only found out from Andy. And Melissa's thing was this. We didn't have no relationship at that point in time. She and I did not talk, and we did not like each other. So why would I call her or whatever? Teresa thinks that Melissa and Joe were not speaking to her because she would not put them on Real Housewives of New Jersey, and that's why they were mad at her. Anyway, it was wild. It was wild. Teresa says that she did not want to fight with them if they came on the show. And Melissa's logic was, well, if we came on the show, you didn't have to fight with us at all. So, amen. 50 Cent was getting rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Okay. She was about to go there. Anyway, baby, this thing was good right here. So they end up, Teresa's point is this. She says, just like on The Godfather, you don't go against the family. And that's what they did in this instance. So they kind of disperse to go get their massages. Cynthia is moaning and groaning doing her foot massage. Luann is running around naked in some foil. Teresa and Melissa have a follow-up conversation about whether or not they're okay. And they both agree that they don't want to fight with each other anymore. And I do think that I admired that about their relationship at this point, that they do not agree on how Melissa got onto the show. But what they do agree on is that they don't want to fight with each other because Teresa knows that she does not want to lose her relationship with her brother, especially since they both lost their parents. And I can definitely understand that. So I really admire the fact that they are really working as hard as they possibly can to stay together and remain a family, because I believe that she knows that that's what their parents would actually want. And so I love that about what Teresa said. But I still don't think Teresa likes Melissa. Anyway, they head to an island dinner. They have an astrology com, and Melissa says that she looks like Cruella de Vil, but Melissa thinks that's a compliment, and Kenya's like, girl, that's not a compliment. Anyway, Kyle, the lady is telling them all that they were royalty in their past life. And at first, when she started with Kyle was like, oh my God, I've been told all of these things before, so it must be true. But then next thing you know, everybody in their past life was royalty. They was all princesses and queens and countesses and whatnot. And I was like, no, this sounds to me like some trash right here. And Kenya felt the same way. So, I was just kind of done with that. So another interesting little point comes up between Cynthia and Kenya. Luann starts asking Kenya more about when she won her title. And, because Luann has had her own titles in Europe. And so Kenya starts talking about it. But for some reason, Cynthia starts trying to interject about her time as a judge and how hard it is to judge those types of pageants. But Kenya is they're sitting beside each other, but Kenya is basically steamrolling Cynthia in this conversation. Now, I don't know if it's because the conversation was more or less about Kenya and being in pageants, but it seemed like Cynthia was just dead set on making some type of point to have some type of inclusion in this conversation. And I just did not understand why. Cynthia, yes, you are a model. Okay, we know that you are the model. You have run the walkways. You have done all that type of stuff in the Ebony Fashion Fair and everything in betwixt. But this is about pageants. And you are coming into this conversation talking about you was a judge and how hard that was. But these ladies are talking about their experience in the pageants. So in my mind, I felt like Kenya did interrupt her about 17 times. But what I will say is I just didn't understand why it was so important for Cynthia to try to interject her statements into this conversation that did not seem to have anything to do with her. Now, maybe she was feeling left out of the conversation. Maybe she felt like I got a point too. I feel like what it was she was still mad at Kenya and she just wanted to have something to say in this conversation. Whatever the case may be, Kenya was not really trying to hear it, and it was just hilarious. So Kyle, they get back to the house, and it's Housewives After Dark. I feel like they do that in the last 5 minutes of every episode. Kyle still wants to party, but Cynthia and Melissa want to go to bed. So everybody leaves to go to bed, but Kyle is ready to keep the party going. Now, if you watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I want to ask you this. I don't understand why it is that Kyle never knows how to make a drink. If you watch this show, every time they have an event, somebody got to make the drinks for Kyle. Kyle don't know how to make not made drink. She still don't know how to make a margarita. Ramona or somebody has to make her the margarita. And I'm like, girl, why don't you know how to make a margarita? I'm not gonna go any further on that because I just feel like it's just I don't understand it. But what she says is funny. Because Drunk Kyle is probably one of my favorite Kyles because she says whatever. See, sober Kyle is a lot more careful, especially after that whole limo scene with Kim Richards from season 1. I think she's been a little bit traumatized ever since then. But when she gets drunk, baby, she says whatever she wants to say to whomever she wants to say it to. So she really wants to, have everybody, stay up. So she ends up telling Ramona that everybody in this house is so boring because they want to go to sleep. And then she says this, you know what we call those boring people, those boring girls in LA? In Beverly Hills, she says ex-housewives. And I said, yes, baby, you better throw that shade, Kyle. Please show up drunk tomorrow too, okay? And that's it for episodes 2 and 3, y'all. Listen, we did it. We got through it, and it was a marathon. But let me tell y'all something. This to me gives vintage Housewives. Those eras of Housewives where they first started, where they was literally arguing about the dumb, petty stuff that didn't really seem to really make much of a difference in life. But honestly, it's the stuff that we really want to see. It's why we fell in love with these shows, and these ladies are delivering. If you are not watching this show, I'm going to tell you the truth. You need to start watching it. I am telling you, some of the ladies like the Melissas and the Cynthias have so much more to do in this show than they do on their seasons. This is the Cynthia that I want to see more of. And had I seen more of her in Atlanta, I would have definitely been campaigning for her to stay there. But nonetheless, we are getting Cynthia and we getting 50 Cent, and I'm all the way here for it, okay? Now, with that being said, y'all, I got to go and grab my bags and get my stuff together so I can head on down to this airport so I can get to my fulfillment center and find out what we're going to do about these next shipments of sea moss because we done run out of the thing. With that being said, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for your comments, all of your support, everything that you guys have been putting into the chatterization. I appreciate you for watching this along with me, for having these conversations with me. Y'all know how much I love y'all, and I will catch you guys in the next video.